Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast, a place where we focus on the business side of art to help you attract more customers, increase profits, and ultimately live a life of creative freedom. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and today I have a very special guest. We have Shannon Joy, and this is another episode of our Quit Your Day Job series, where I interview members of the Artist Academy Advanced, our private group mentoring membership program geared to helping artists thrive. So I'm interviewing Shannon Joy, who is she's from where I'm from, which is Springfield, Missouri, but she is currently on vacation in Hawaii right now. And she carved away some time to chat with me about her dive into full-time art. I've met Shannon in person many times this past year, both on mural projects and off, and I first had her out to help me paint a project at a local park, then another for a business, then another, and each time she helped more, and each time I've painted less. So I've trained her more and more, and she's just done more and more to build her confidence, and now she's out on her own in the art world and making a living with a paintbrush. Listen as we chat about everything that happened in between that helped her go from working a job she really didn't like to now full-time creative career. And let me know what you think about this week's episode with Shannon Joy. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I am sunburnt a little bit already.
Yes.
So
well, you are currently in Hawaii. Thank you so much for carving time out of your busy schedule to come on and chat with us.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited.
Awesome. So I was just saying how we know each other. Like we've hung out several times, both like on the mural sites and recently off. And so we have a lot to talk about on all the things. So, but this is this is about quitting your day job and how you went from a job you didn't really like that much to quitting, and now you're a full-time creative career. So I guess if you could just start off by telling us a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, I have a degree in business, and I studied social work in college and did that for a long, long time. And in 2018, I had a situation come up with my health that made me realize that there are things that are more important than just making money and, running the rat race. And I walked into my boss's office a few months later, and I said, I think I'm done. And she was like, what? I said, I think I'm just done. I want to go home and be with my kids. She said, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know yet. And so I started content writing and doing some social media work, started a company with my business partner, Amanda, and started painting a whole lot more. At that point, I had been painting for about 6 years, I think, and selling here and there, but it was more of a hobby. And I realized through that transition that the social media and the content writing, they weren't really what I wanted to do. And if I could make money painting, that was absolutely the direction that I wanted to go. And then I think it was in April, I helped you paint mushrooms the first time. And then we went and we worked on a mural together, and I was like, oh, maybe I could do this. So I started really promoting a lot more. I took part in the 31-day challenge, and it just kind of has bloomed from there. Yeah. So like when I get back, I will have a very busy week before Thanksgiving. So
busy is good. Yeah. I remember when you came out for that one, and I was like, hey, okay. And then, so I asked you to come out for a logo job, and I think I remember specifically you were like, okay, so this is a lot more like work on your body than you thought, but it's just using a bigger paintbrush. And I was like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So never imagined myself as an artist or a muralist. I grew up thinking that was just frivolous. And now I'm like, I'll just paint for a living. So
look at this. Oh my gosh. And really in under a year. Like I remember you first came out in April, and now it's November right now. Yeah. And so under a year, you made it happen. Yeah. And then I remember you came out for another one, helped me on a logo. And I was like, I think like at every one, you did more and more to the point of, I think on on our fifth one, you basically did like the majority of it. And I was like, okay, you're like ready to go.
Yeah. And then I did my own first one.
Yep.
So yeah, that's exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
So I'm incredibly appreciative to you.
Yeah. No, well, it's so fun to work with you and like to work with someone who picks up on things really quickly. It's fun because one thing working with you, you tried hard. You were like, okay, I want to get this. And even if it takes a little bit more time, like I'm going to get this right. And you did. And I think that's really just effort is the thing. And yeah, now you're doing the thing, and you've gotten several more. Because we did our mural in Buffalo, Missouri, and if anybody that doesn't know, that's like I don't know, 45 minutes away, and it's like a really small town. And just from the word of mouth around town, people saw you painting up there, and I think you got 2 jobs from painting up on the thing.
Yeah. So I actually ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4 windows and 2 murals from that job.
I love it. And I remember I screenshot your text because a couple of weeks later you texted me and said, I wish I could read it right now. I don't have it up, but it was like, hey, thank you. I just booked a mural that's going to pay for all of my monthly expenses from this one.
An entire month. So,
yes. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is so crazy. And now I'm in Hawaii with my kids.
I know. Now you're just like vacationing and doing the stuff. And I love it.
Yes.
It's all come full circle.
I have been envisioning this life and like writing about it and just trying to make it happen and trying to figure out how it was going to happen. And it's so funny how life happens because the things that you dream of never happen the way you plan them to necessarily. But if you're persistent, I think that they can always happen.
Yeah, for sure. And you've gone through a lot of different things with your health and just with life in general. It's been like a crazy road. But just to see that you can, despite everything, so like all the things that happen in your personal life, especially, like you can do it. Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
So let's talk about the different, maybe like mental mind block shifts that you've had to go through. Like I remember, like even for myself, like it's just really scary in the beginning going from somebody who, like you show up at a job. And I remember talking to you and saying like you were making good money at your previous job.
Yeah. So I had landed a job at a Fortune 100 company working in HR. For a lot of people, it would have been a dream job, great benefits. And I was not happy there. It was not creative. It was very structured, very same thing day in, day out. And I loved the employees there. We had a great team, but it wasn't me. And I know for me, that stability, I'm a single mom. And so that stability was so important to me that I didn't think that I'd ever step out. I assumed that I would be there until I retired or died. And so switching that mindset was it was so nerve-wracking because, when you're an employee, you're counting on someone else and the responsibility lies with someone else for your paychecks, for your insurance, for all of that. And for me, it was kind of like, do I really want that much responsibility, even though it's my life? And then I had the episode in the hospital. I was in the hospital for 36 days. They didn't know if I was going to make it out of the hospital. And I went back to that job and I realized that I was giving them 60, 80, 100 hours a week of my life. And my kids were being raised by the school and the after school program and being picked up by friends and family sometimes when I couldn't make it back, or staying the night with friends and family when I couldn't, when I had to go to work way early or something like that. And I was like, is this really the most important thing? And I had to really tune in with myself and decide, like, what are my priorities? What do I want out of life? And when I did that, I found out that I really wanted to be with my kids and I wanted to travel the world and I wanted to be creative and I wanted to inspire people. And those were the things that I was like, okay, this is the life I'm going to build. And I had no idea how I was going to do it. I just decided that that was what I wanted. And I think that the universe will always bring you what you want if you're very set and very clear on it. And so getting clear was the first step to any sort of success. It's just, this is the life that I want.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you started taking steps, in the right direction of like joining the academy, for instance, and then painting on your own and doing all the things. Like you made it clear and you're like, okay, my mind is made up. And then you're like, I'm going to do it. I remember talking with you about that too. And I was like, oh, cool. Those are my goals too. Awesome. It's funny how people are attracted to each other when, you have similar things. Awesome. Okay. So what kind of plans did you make? So I know that you like stability, you like being very responsible, and having 2 kids. You were really not wanting to make crazy jumps. So how did you plan for this? So what were the plans that kind of went into place for, like, did you save money? Did you have I
had saved up a little bit of money, and I actually cashed out my 401k. And I started off with Hey Girl digital marketing. And so we had monthly clients already on retainer when I quit my job, which helped that transition go a lot easier. And so when I decided that I was going to kind of let Hey Girl go and transition to art, I knew that I needed to have a more secure plan with my art set up. And so it turned into making sure that the bank account was set up and figuring out like what exactly did I need to make in a month in order to hit my bills, how many murals or commissions or prints would that be, and then what were my goals above and beyond that. And so just having those numbers laid out, it was actually interesting because I'm pretty minimalist. And so I don't have a whole lot of bills. And I've just lived my life that way because I feel like simpler is better. So whenever I laid out the different bills that I had, I was like, oh, it would take like 1.5 murals. And that was at my former rate. It would take like 1.5 murals to pay my bills for a month. And then I increased my rate, and now 1 mural will pay my bills for the whole month. And anything above that goes toward traveling or savings or my kids' college funds or whatever.
Yeah. So let's talk numbers for a second, because I know a lot of people listening like to know, like, okay, what's your rate? Like, so what did your rate start out at, and what is it at now?
It started at $300 a day, and it just went to $400 a day. I am really slow though. I'm getting faster, but that is one thing is with it being $400 a day, I typically take about a week to do a mural.
Okay. Yeah. And I just want to say you're not slow. You're just comparing yourself to whenever you were working with me and you were like, you feel slow, but you're not. Because in the beginning, $300 a day was my starting rate too. And that's just, and then I feel like it just slowly goes up. Like you already did. You're at $400 a day. And I think Samantha here, who is a local artist here too, her rate's about 400, 450, something like that. And she's been doing it for a year. Like it's just, you're right there. You're right where everybody who's, at the same timeline as you. So don't feel slow. It's just, yeah. But I mean, it's so funny though, because if even at a beginner rate, it's still a really good living. Yeah. And just so much just better of a job with more flexibility. Like you can go and do whatever you could pick your kids up. You can do stuff with your kids. You could going to Hawaii, and you don't have to ask off for anything.
Yeah, that's my favorite with the kids. It's been interesting the last few months. My son was diagnosed with scoliosis, and then my daughter had to have surgery on her tonsils. And so it's been one thing after another. And I've been so incredibly grateful that I've been able to be home and be there and do the things that I need to do without having to ask anyone or, trying to take away from anything else. And then I go home and I paint and my day continues. And it's just been really awesome to have that flexibility and that freedom.
Yeah. I love that. So your daughter is a future artpreneur. So just for people listening, you brought your daughter out, and it was just a great human. It's the only way. She's just so positive and so hyper. And how old is she? 14?
She's 10 now.
10. Okay. I don't even know kids' ages, but she just acts 14, I guess you could say. And she's just like,
I would agree.
yeah. So she comes out on like the second thing we ever worked on, and she's interested in art. So I gave her a paintbrush, and all three of us are painting. And then I'll just never forget how one of the first things she said was just like, so I'm getting paid for this, right?
Yeah.
I was like, you ask and you shall receive. Sure, you're getting paid for it. Your new rate is $10 an hour. And she's like, okay. And so she like painted with us and then got a little bored. And so, but yeah, I paid her. And I was like, if you're going to ask for it, I'll give it to you.
She still charges me to help me with murals now.
We've created a monster.
Both of my kids helped with not the last mural, but the one before that. And it was really fun to be able to paint with them and to create something with them. So when they see it, they can look at it and say, I did that, you know?
Yeah, I love that. And they're getting to see their mom like do all the different things and, work for herself, and just shows what's possible. I have no doubt that Jayla will be an entrepreneur of some type. Like I just don't think there's any job that could hold her down. She's so great.
Yeah, her goal is to be a rock star and own a resort.
She can perform at the resort for the people. I can see that. And another
exactly.
Yeah, another famous Jayla quote. She was like, I don't remember if you told me she said this or she was around me when she said this, but we were talking about different things to do in your life and how people like they want to find their career early and they want to get into it and like do the thing for the rest of their life. And she was just like, yeah, well, I'm probably going to live to be like 80 or 90 or 100 or whatever she said. She's like, so I'll probably have like many careers in that time. Like, it's just what makes sense. And I was like, oh, that's actually really smart. Like, why do we think we need to like find our career at 15 and then be a prodigy and then grow into it? And by the time we're 30, just be like amazing at like, there's just so many things. Like you've had another career and, you've tried your marketing business too, which is, I think, a stepping stone into being in the arts. Like, is there things that are people you've met or whatnot when you're in your previous entrepreneur journey with Hey Girl Marketing that has helped you now?
Yeah, definitely. I think kind of just knowing how social media works and websites. And for me, it was content writing. My business partner is really the websites and the social media person, but she has been an incredible help. She's actually who introduced me to Artist Academy. She said, hey, I know that you're really wanting to get into your art. So have you heard of this chick? And I was like, no, I've never heard of her. She's like, you should check it out. She teaches people how to make their art into a business. And I was like, okay. And so it really was literally a stepping stone because she introduced me to the Artist Academy. And then, we've discussed, we were actually on the phone about my website just a little bit ago because we're transitioning it from just a website where you can look at it to where you'll be able to buy prints and subscribe to my Print of the Month Club and that sort of thing. So we were just on the phone before talking to you maybe half an hour ago. And so it's definitely been very, very helpful with my growth and how quickly it's gone. And so I would say there's a lot of things I think that we can learn from anything that we do, though, because even in HR, like learning how to relate to people and how to be assertive and how to file paperwork to where you can find it again or be organized, that sort of thing. Those are really important as well to running any sort of business. And that includes artwork. And I know as creatives, a lot of us tend to be a bit scatterbrained. And so I think that making sure that I have that structure and that schedule, learning how to do that was a really important part of running my own business as well.
Oh, so true. I love that. Yeah, we just gain different things from all the different careers. And, especially for myself, like any kind of entrepreneur thing I did before, I feel like I made a lot of mistakes there that I don't need to make here. So it looks like the art journey is a lot more polished than it is. I'm like, oh, no, I already made those mistakes. I'm like way long ago.
I'm sure that you cover this in your new book, which I have not pre-ordered yet, but I will. But I know that some of the things that I have learned from you specifically were, dress for the job that you want. That was an interesting lesson to me because as an artist, I didn't think anything of what I wore. I was like, oh, I just need to wear something that I can get paint on. But you do need to present yourself professionally. And realizing that was a huge thing for me to make sure that I'm dressed professionally when I go into a business and say, hey, even if I have paint on myself, just make sure that you are tracking things. I have heard in many books and many podcasts that I listen to, like what you track multiplies. And so if you're not tracking your clients, if you're not tracking, just make sure that you have a system where you can track like the money that comes in and who is buying from you and know what your demographic is. And that actually helps if you want to set up a marketing campaign or if you want to create sales banners or anything like that, because then you know who you should be targeting.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, you're very much like an on the books kind of girl. And because you would help people get grants, right? That was part of your like in transitioning. That's like one of the jobs that you did. You would help people apply for like art grants.
Yeah, not just art grants, but just nonprofits. And doing that, obviously, anything with grants, you're going to want to have all of the evidence, how that grant money is used, how it impacts whatever it's supposed to impact. And so I just think that tracking is so vital to being successful.
Okay, yeah. Can I go back to your point about dressing for the job? Can I tell the story? And
You
I
can.
just want to say though, I did not include this story in the book. I included my own story of like when I did this exact same thing. So before I tell the story, I will just say that I did this too. And so I saw you do it and I was like, this is just a repeat. This is the universe time repeating itself. So we were on a job where we were working in like an office building. We're actually at Springfield Underground, and it was like a more professional office building. And we go in and we're painting logos, and like you wore leggings, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I was like, probably not the best thing to wear. It was like skin tight, like showed off your butt and like everything. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then I thought to myself, like, I'll just mention it to her like the next day. And then I forgot. And then you showed up the next day with leggings. And so I was like, crap, there's just no good time to do this. So I texted you. I was like, okay, leggings are not the most professional thing to wear. Like we need to like just step it up just a little bit. And you were like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I was like, don't worry. Like I've done it too. Like, yeah, but yeah, that's a really good point though, to like dress. Not that we have to wear suits to an office, but like there's like, actually in my book and my editor, we were talking about it and she actually helped me reword it a little bit better because I was like, don't dress like a hobo either. And she's like, we can't say that. We can't rephrase that. We can't be sensitive to homeless people. I was like, oh, sorry. Okay. So like, there's like a weird line, like not being hobo-ish, but not like being too sexy, but like dressing for the job. That's just another thing. So just like, and like I include examples and stuff. And like when I first did it, the next day I wore like these pants that were like baggy on me. And like, I was like, I am not going to be sexy today. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Like, they had like pockets on the sides and like, they were like boy pants.
Yeah, that's I bought a couple pairs of those where they were like really baggy, and then I was like, no, I feel like I look really frumpy if I wear that. And so I had to go and find something that actually worked.
Yeah, it's this weird like happy middle somewhere where it's like what kind of clothes, because it's weird thinking of the idea of going to buy clothes that you're going to get paint on. Usually we just like you, I just showed up in like the clothes that I usually painted in. And that's just like leggings, like I just want to be comfortable. And they're like, no, like you can't do that. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else. It feels like it's been so fast. And I think that has been surprising to me. I expected it to take forever. I was like, oh, well, I'll grow a little bit and I'll still do, the grant writing and I'll still do Hey Girl. And then it was like, Oh, I have to choose between these because I can't keep up with everything. And I think that singleness of purpose, like being like, okay, what do I really want? And again, revisiting that, I think was important. And going back and resetting goals, I think not being afraid to change direction. Because for me, I always expected, I was raised to think that art was frivolous. And so even when I was doing Hey Girl and Shannon Joy Creative, I was like, well, Shannon Joy Creative is always going to be just a little thing. And when it started making me more money than Hey Girl, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to figure out time wise which one is more important. And so I had a discussion with Amanda and I was like, I think I'm going with art. It's my love. It's something that I absolutely have dreamed of that I never thought was a possibility for me. And I think I have to chase this. And it really surprised me how fast that happened because I was thinking like 3 or 5 years down the road. And instead it's like 6 months later and here we are. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, it helps that you like come out to things like the mural meetup and like can take pictures on like, hey, look what I'm doing. I think that's a big thing too. It's like getting those first couple murals. If you can get those and get photos and be out there and have people come by, like that's the thing that like, but getting started so hard, or getting that first one is hard and the second one, but you did things to put yourself in positions. Like I posted in the Arts Academy and you're like, yeah, I'll come. I'm like, great. It's like, and it's just like you took the action to go. And then now you've inspired your friend Danny Roma in Kansas City, who's part of the Artist Academy and is now also full-time art and doing the thing. I actually am about to go pick up a canvas. I ordered one for me and Danny, and I'm dropping it off for her for a commission that I posted in the Academy that she was like, I'll do it. And so, yeah, it's just, what I'm saying is like, it multiplies. Like you are inspiring. And then I'm sure she is inspiring someone too in Kansas City. Like she is just killing it too. And it's just, yeah, it's a domino effect.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to watch. And I told her, I don't know, she was a teacher previously. And I remember talking to her and I was like, you are so creative and you have so much more in you because she was like, I don't like teaching anymore. And I was like, girl, you have so many options. Like you don't even know because she's so talented in so many areas. So it's been amazing to watch her just bloom and follow her passions. And it's really cool. I feel like that must be how you feel with Artist Academy with the new artists as they grow.
Yeah, I can tell like by meeting people, like who's going to make it and who might not, or who's going to take a longer time to make it. Because I think everybody has the potential to. It just some people it takes 10 years and some people it takes one. And it really just comes down to effort and like, how many hours am I willing to spend? Am I willing to do the scary thing that's going to like, do I just go and show up on a job site? Like, it's really just down to effort. And like those who put out the effort are going to be rewarded, whether it's like the universe, like being like, here you go, let me help you out here. Or just like everything's a domino effect.
Yeah. And I think we've had that discussion too, where we talked about there can be people who are so incredibly talented, but they're not willing to put in consistent effort or they're not willing to challenge themselves and do anything other than just the little bit that they want to do, and how effort will always trump talent.
Yeah, it really will. And I've just seen it so many times how, I mean, artists that are just even in the beginning and their skills aren't like, up to par where they're going to be in a couple of years, whether if they went to school and like made it, like it's the people who are taking action, even though they're not completely ready, even if you're learning business while you're learning how to paint, it's really just putting yourself out there. And then it just happens.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. So yeah, I think effort, making sure you know where your purpose is and being willing to reset those goals, and then just getting out there and doing stuff.
Yeah. What are your goals right now? What do you look working towards?
I am actually working towards $100,000 year in 2022.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, and I want to take my kids on a trip every month. So they'll be smaller trips, but I want to take them on a trip every month. And if I can do murals or whatever while we're traveling, that would be ideal. But that's the lifestyle that I wanted to lead for a long time. And now that opportunity is presenting itself. So I think that's going to be what I'm doing.
Oh, I love that. And I love the idea of that, mostly because like Americans, we get like a 2-week vacation and that you go maybe 1 or 2 places a year and you're like, nope, I think once a month is what I want. I'm like, oh, I love that.
Yeah. So I have stuff scheduled out through June. I'm doing a mural in New York City in May. Yeah. So I have a friend who owns a gym here, in Ozark, and he is opening another gym. He was a professional baseball player for the Kansas City, I don't play baseball, Royals? Is that who plays? Okay. And so he's opening another training facility in New York. So I'll be going out to do that. And then in December, I'm going to see Lissa. We're going to meet up and go to my friend Bradford's show in Florida over Christmas break for the kids. And then Danny and I are actually going in March. We're going to go paint a mural in North Carolina.
So awesome. I love it. Yeah. So you're making it happen. I love this too, because you're not just like saying you want to do this. You're like, okay, I'm looking for tickets. I'm trying to book stuff. And then we were just talking last week about how you're like, I just found these awesome tickets to Hawaii and the hotel is not that bad. So I'm just going to go. I'm like, oh, you go, girl. Like you're actually doing it. And I think there's something to be said for that, because a lot of people will just hope and dream and not put in the work for it. But you're doing it, which is just so fun to watch. Taryn's on here. She had a question a second ago. She's like, hey, is your $400 rate for windows as well?
Yes. So however many windows I think I can get done in a day, I think that just sticking with that $400 rate is accurate.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Cool. I think we're about at the time limit, but do you have anything else to add on? Or we've kind of said a lot.
Yeah, I think I'm good, but I'm going to go enjoy Hawaii a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah. Have fun. Send us snaps in our mural meetup Snapchat group. And I will. I love your videos. You sent one in the last couple of days of just looking at the ocean and the sunset, and you can see the waves. And I'm just clapping, yes. Because it inspires the other people in there too. You just posting what you're doing inspires other people. And we have the mural meetup Snapchat group, and it's just fun to see what everybody is doing. And
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, it's good catching up with you. I'm excited to see you.
Yeah. Alrighty, that is it. Thanks for listening to another show all about how to quit your day job here on the Artist Academy podcast. Now, if you are inspired and you're like, all right, I'm raising my hand, maybe I need a little bit of help with my mural career or art career, selling things, finding customers, all the things, I would love to help you out. So just go to artistacademy.co. That's artistacademy.co, and you'll see a bunch of stuff. You'll see a mural training. You'll see a way to apply and join us for the 4th quarter success plan. We have what you need to get you started in the art career, because really once you get started, then the rest is a lot easier. It's just finding that starting point is really tough sometimes. But yeah, and also if you liked this episode and you want to review the podcast, I would say thank you so much, because I am offering a shout out on my Instagram for a podcast review. So if you review this podcast or if you share it on Instagram or anything, just tag me and I will shout you out on my Instagram of over 70,000 people, followers, And so they're just basically just a thank you for helping me and I'll help you kind of a thing. Okay. All right. I hope you have a great rest of your week and I will see you next time.